Look, I'm already a hater of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Absolutely. After what they, not necessarily they did to the Lions, but like basically what they did to the Lions.
Yeah. Well, what
in
they
one
did,
way, shape, or form.
what they were a part of doing to the Lions.
They were
I'm already
part
a Kansas City Chiefs
of an
hater.
institution that snubbed the Lions.
You know,
really.
some people are bandwagoners. I'm the opposite. I fucking hate the bandwagon. I hate the whole caravan. I hate it.
That's right. That's right.
And Kansas City Chiefs are on top. 3 Super Bowl wins in like 5 years or something like that. That's a dynasty. I'm a hater.
That's insane. They had their time at the top. They can promptly exit.
I'm already a hater, and color me surprised that the talk of the town is giving me even more reason to be a hater. Because this Harrison Butker guy, whatever his name is, kicker
Harrison
for the Chiefs,
Butthead,
is out here talking about like how Pride Month is a sin,
and that was
giving a speech.
That was wicked. Because I'm sure we've all seen the clips of the speech by now. That shit went mega viral. He I don't even know what he's talking about. But he goes, Pride. But not the deadly sin sort of pride, not the deadly sin sort of pride that we dedicate a month to. Like, you just tack that on there at the end.
Well, yeah, I think he was invited to give a speech at the graduation ceremony of a Catholic college, I think.
Oh.
And funny enough, I think the student body there, or the graduating class, was majority female. Or majority woman.
Interesting.
Which is why he led with like, oh, well, your degree doesn't fucking matter.
You actually fucking suck. I can't wait till you start your life whenever you find a husband.
Yeah, well, and people were making it go viral, and I saw a clip of it, and I was like, oh, that's a crazy thing to say at a speech. I didn't realize he was already like a high-profile figure in the NFL. I didn't know who he was.
Kicker.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to fucking say. He's a kicker.
And so I saw the Pride Month clip first, and then I saw him say, like, women belong in the home or whatever he said after that. And I was like, damn, this guy's really out here. Now, of course, he's become a sort of martyr for the right wing.
And it's like, I'm paraphrasing, but I'm pretty sure he said almost straight up, it was like, it is diabolical that we live it.
He said, yeah, you've been sold a diabolical lie.
You've been sold a diabolical lie by our society that, I don't know, your fucking degree means anything, and you should just go and be a wife and a homemaker.
Yeah.
Insane. His mom is a world-renowned physicist.
That's awesome.
I mean, shout out to her.
Yeah.
But like, how does the apple fall so far from the tree in this instance? That's insane.
Yeah, and it's like, this dude's like, oh, women belong as homemakers. Pride Month is a sin, and we have a whole month dedicated to pride as a sin. It's like, dog, you're the kicker.
You're the kicker. Cheetah print tie.
Cheetah print tie. Like, let's be real for a second. You're getting too big for your britches, my guy. Look, I respect the talent it takes to compete at the level of the NFL.
Absolutely.
He must be good at his job. But look, even being the kicker, he didn't dodge CTE. That's all I'm going to say.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I bet it is pretty hard to kick the ball that far. I certainly couldn't do it. But you got the cushiest job on the team, brother. You got the cushiest job on the team.
Yeah, and look, the cheetah print tie thing is like, I'm not one to say like, oh, if a guy wears something that typically women wear, that automatically makes him gay or anything like that. But when you have these beliefs, you can't be wearing stuff like that. You can't be pushing like the hyper masculinity, women belong in the kitchen type shit and be wearing stuff that's considered feminine.
And it's also,
that's not allowed.
Bro's built like a youth pastor.
Yeah,
like, absolutely built like a youth pastor. So it's, in a way, it's the phrenology of it all.
Yeah. I believe in phrenology after all.
I believe in cop phrenology, and I believe in youth pastor phrenology. Those are the two sciences that are just hard.
Yeah, and if you want an actual like critique and not just ad hominems at this guy. Look, there's a reason that guys like this never argue for policies that make child rearing more viable for people generally, right? He's not advocating for policies like free prenatal care or free in-hospital births or making baby formula more accessible or completely free through government subsidy or whatever. All he talks about is that women have a preordained gender role to be homemakers, and if they're not doing it, something's wrong with them, right?
Yeah.
Women should be completely subordinate to men. And it's a completely inconsistent ideology, or an ideology of control, because he's not talking about women freely choosing to be mothers or having the autonomy to make the choice for themselves to be mothers, because again, he'd be advocating for these economic policies that make family raising more viable for everybody, a more viable choice. But it's because he doesn't care about free choice.
No,
he doesn't care about women autonomously choosing to become mothers. He thinks that if you're a woman, you have a role to play, and if you're not playing that role, you're doing something wrong, and you're living what he called a diabolical lie. He doesn't
bonkers.
care about freedom. Like, it's not an ideology of freedom. It's an ideology of control.
Absolutely. He could get out here and he could advocate for any policies that just increase wages across the board to make it easier. If you think that the ideal home situation is where one person goes and works and another stays home to raise the kids, maybe because childcare costs like, I don't know, $35,000 a year. Childcare costs a salary in this country right now. That's one thing. But his thing stems from the idea. It's like, oh, Eve came from Adam's rib, so she owes him everything.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Like, we know what it looks like when women don't have any economic autonomy at all, when they completely rely on the income of a husband or of the father of their children. They have no mobility. They can't move. They are completely subservient to what the man wants.
Yeah, I mean, you enter marriages not because you love someone and you want to be with them forever. You enter marriages because you need food.
Yeah, like it's an economic necessity.
Or else you're relegated to a girl job.
Yeah.
Like secretary or something.
And this is a tale like as old as time. I mean, the subjugation of women by men has been in its various forms of oppression have existed for like literally thousands of years. This shit predates like racism as we currently understand it, the sort of modern conception of racism. It predates capitalism for sure. Like, this is one of the oldest modes of oppression. Yeah. And this dude's just pulling from the sort of treasure trove of arguments.
It's also crazy just to get on there and be like, yeah, my wife, her life did not start until she met me and I knocked her up and she had babies and quit her job.
Well, yeah, and it's like, it's easy to say that women should just be homemakers when you're making, what, tens of millions of dollars as the Chiefs kicker?
Kicking a ball.
Yeah.
Like, kicking a ball.
Like, I'm unironically, shut up and kick the ball. Like, this is shut up and dribble, but correct.
I saw a video of, I think it was Patrick Mahomes from like a year ago or like sometime before this speech happened and Harrison Butker, like, it came out as annoying and having dumb opinions. And it was basically Pat Mahomes. Somebody on SportsCenter was asking him like, oh, what do you think about like Harrison? He goes, I don't talk to him. He says, well, you guys don't sit together at lunch. Pat said, we sit togetgether at team meetings and I don't say a word to him. Damn. I do not talk to him.
That shit aged perfectly.
Absolutely. Putting himself on the right side of history after, being on the wrong side of history after winning the Super Bowl and the Lions should have.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, he's just a don't hate the player, hate the game type situation. And I hate the entire team. But look, Pat Mahomes, so respect. I'll put respect on your name when you've earned it. You know what I'm saying?
There are tier lists to this. It's like there's a tier list, and within the tiers, they are ordered.
Yeah. And, it is funny. Conservatives, back when the Super Bowl was happening in February or when we were leading up to it, conservatives were sort of like abandoning football as this sort of cultural, they were abandoning football and what it symbolizes for the culture. You know what I mean? Because they were calling Travis Kelce like a feminine gay person because he loves
wore, like,
Taylor
a dress
Swift
or some shit.
And he got the vaccine and all that stuff.
That's
like,
true.
He was like, oh, the football's liberal now. Is basically what I was getting from all of that. But it is interesting to see that they're embracing the kicker of the team. But on our side is like the beefy tight end,
the number one wide receiver,
and like one of the greatest quarterbacks in the league right now. Yeah. Like, that's who we got on our side, and they took the kicker.
We have the good players.
It's just, I don't know, it flipped up in a way that I didn't expect. It is interesting to see though that like they got the kicker and we got the people that actually, I don't know, win the game. Like, kickers are important. Don't get me wrong. Again, I'll put respect on the skill, but CTE's a hell of a thing.
Exactly.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. I almost didn't make it today.
Oh my God.
I almost didn't make it because of all the goddamn construction on the road.
You're fucking telling me, brother. You're fucking telling me.
Driving up I-75 and it's basically, you basically can't drive on it right now because of all the orange cones, the natural plants that have sprouted around this time of year in Michigan. And then I get off the highway and it's just like 20 minutes of traffic waiting for me.
Yeah, my commute, like to and from my like 9 to 5 work job, both ways, it's supposed to be 25 minutes, like both ways. I live like 20 miles out, hop on the highway the whole time. Now, 45 minutes at least.
Yeah, and look, I am pro state infrastructure or state investment into our infrastructure, but if it personally inconveniences me, I'm anti it.
Honestly,
take it down.
I'm pro the infrastructure. One, yeah, personally inconveniencing me is bad, but also we do not need to be doing construction on both sides of the highway at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
We do not need to fucking take the highway that I have to merge onto to get to work that 3 other like lanes merge into, and we do not have to make that a 1 lane thing.
No, we don't.
It's my
tough.
goodness,
It's tough.
man.
And then my low tire pressure light came on today. I was about to lose my mind. I was about to quit.
I got a maintenance do now thing that popped up on my little Honda. I don't know what maintenance I have, dude, but I'm scared.
And it doesn't tell you.
It doesn't, unless my oil's low, it will not tell me. I'm frightful. It's like, what is it, brake pads? What is it, my fucking engine's gonna blow up? I don't know. I'm not a car guy.
The cars be listening. Like, if you got some extra money, they know. And they're like, you're gonna spend it.
Car heard. May is a 3 paycheck month for me. Shout out to all my bi-weekly people. Got me feeling like God. Car knows to take it all.
It's ridiculous. Anyways, we made it. Both of us made it to the studio today. So welcome back to the show. And look, it's episode 150.
That's a milestone.
This is the 150th episode of Head in the Office. And why don't we celebrate it by you heading over to patreon.com/headintheofficepod. And if you're not already a patron, maybe check it out the tiers.
Why don't we celebrate it by maybe dropping another crumb to what we're bringing to our Patreon expansion.
Exactly.
Maybe it's a crumb that you can hold in your hand every month, maybe.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe it's a recurring reward. Maybe a little something. Help us get to that goal. And if you're a patron, $5 tier and up, you will be handsomely rewarded. Handsomely rewarded.
And let me tell you, it's pretty handsome.
And look, if you're already a patron, send it to your friends. Get your family involved.
Exactly. We know some of you subject your family to us every once in a while.
How about you subject their pocketbook to us too?
Yeah.
Anyways, you can also go and get some Hit On merch. I'm wearing some right now. Got the mugshot collection, wearing one of these shirts right now. So if you're watching on video, maybe you want one for yourself. You know, it's summertime. Also, subscribe to us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and so on. Speaking of YouTube, we just had a little video essay go up that I made.
Little Fetterman essay.
So go check it out if you haven't already.
Little deep dive.
Link in the description if you want to see that. And let me know what you think of that kind of content, maybe.
Deep dive into the most suitless man in the Senate.
Yeah, but he needs to put on a suit. That was the conclusion I came to. But finally, a way that you can support the show is by leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. I almost said Apple Patreon Podcasts. Again. I'm just Patreon brain right now.
You could head over there. I'm not going to discourage you to head on over to Patreon.
Leave a 5-star review on Apple. We'll read it on the show. The first one here is I Am Allergic to Hummus by Bless the Martyr. Finally, we see the benefits of the woke mind virus. Really good, non-cringe discussions. Just guys being dudes. What more can you ask for? And there's no condemnation of Hamas.
Ooh.
Maybe the title is a condemnation. I'm allergic to hummus, but I can't assume.
I don't know. It's hummus. It's hummus. I'm going to have to juxtapose this with the next review we have here.
Go ahead, yeah.
Consider Hamas condemned by Like a Boss 18. That's model right there. First, let me say, I condemn Hamas times infinity. So happy to have been a follower of this pod for over a year and discovered through TikTok. Jeremy and Gage quite literally do not miss and always have a nuanced and empathetic take towards issues in the world. It's hard finding a good leftist podcast, especially when Pod Save America makes my eyes roll out of my head with their Gaza takes.
Me too, brother.
Still a WW, but would love... Oh, still a Wednesday weenie, but would love to be a Sunday supremacist eventually.
Wait, don't abbreviate it like that. don't put SS.
Hey, but yeah, SS for Sunday supremacist is crazy.
Supremacist is already pushing it.
Would love to be a SS one day is crazy. Honestly, always the highlight of my week. Keep up the good work, boys, and for infecting us with a woke mind virus. Good vibes from Luddington, MI.
I don't even know what that is.
Fucking Luddite over here.
Oh my God. Thank you for leaving those reviews. If you want your review read, you know where to go. One other quick announcement that I forgot to add in. We had our beef breakdown for Kendrick and Drake go up on, I think, like Tuesday or Wednesday of last week on our Patreon. If you want to see that, go check out the Patreon, become a patron. You'll get access to that episode. And if you're a Wednesday weenie, if you simply can't afford it, it'll be going up probably like Friday of this week on YouTube and
it'll
podcasts.
come up for you just like way late. I am very grateful that, I have mixed feelings about it. While I really, really, really wanted Kendrick to just keep dropping, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 5, if you would remember, he didn't, and that helped our video to not age like milk.
It's crystallized, yeah.
But
at point in time,
me personally, I don't feel too good about it.
Yeah, no,
I wish he would have dropped again.
And look, if you don't feel too good about it and you haven't listened to it yet, maybe you'll want some, some consolation to feel a little better. So listen to it.
Exactly.
Listen to the bonus episode.
More beef content.
It's more content in general. More content from Hiddo in general.
Bonus.
So go ahead and check that out. That'll be coming up later this week after this episode drops for the normies out there. But I think it's time to get in the news.
Speaking of Hiddo content,
oh my God,
it is the content year. And while I will admit, leading up to now, things have been hit or miss, right?
Hit or miss, yeah.
It's been very much primary season, but the primaries really weren't anything because like that we got the two worst fucking candidates in, I want to say, American electoral history right now. Just the middest candidates that no one is excited for.
And look, we had a few fun debate moments.
We did,
but in the back of our mind, we knew it was superfluous. You know, it just didn't, it didn't matter because the guy who we knew was gonna win wasn't even on stage.
We live streamed 5 exhibition matches. Like like come on now.
The undercard.
Okay.
Yeah.
We tried our hardest to get through and make this entertaining, but it's an election year.
Oh, we're getting there.
And that means there is an election to come.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, is it coming.
And look, it's only spring, yet the election gods have blessed us with some glorious news. And we're getting content far sooner than we had anticipated previously because last week, Biden and Trump agreed to debate twice before the November election. One debate on June 27th, hosted by CNN, and the other on September 10th, hosted by ABC News, both with no live audiences, which I think is a fantastic choice.
Oh, absolutely.
I hate the live audience. I thought it was awful during the Republican debates. Kept interrupting people, wouldn't let my guy Chris Christie speak.
Could you believe it?
And so I'm glad that there's going to be no live audiences once again. And while
strictly a dub for Biden.
Oh, absolutely.
Strictly a dub for Biden.
And while there won't be a live audience there, we can bring them a live audience. Because, we'll be live watching both of those debates. I don't care if CNN tries to copyright strike us and take it down because they want to draw people to their shitty platform that nobody watches. I'm streaming
putting it up. It's happening.
It's going to happen. So we'll have details for that much closer to the date. But it's only 6 weeks away. 5 or 6.
That's insane.
It's coming up quick.
Generally insane that it's happening this early.
Oh, yeah.
Has a debate ever happened that early?
I think this might be the earliest presidential debate we've ever had before.
See,
at least in modern,
because usually like the presidential debate commission debates, they're like what, one a month, August, September, October.
Yeah, and I think for Trump and Biden in 2020, they were supposed to do maybe 2 in September and 1 in October.
Yeah,
but then Trump got COVID and tried to kill Biden at the second one, and then they had the town halls where the lady slobbed Trump.
Honestly, the town hall's fucked.
It was fun. It was fun.
I kind of hope Trump does a town hall on his own because that was a great time to watch, but. I gotta say, if I'm inserting commentary in right now,
sure.
I think they're doing it in June and September, just like even in September, 3 months before the general election. That's a long time. That's a long time in a voter's mind.
A lot can happen then.
I think both sides anticipate that their person's just going to do awfully, and they want this out of the voters' conscious by the time November rolls around.
Yeah, these dates are like really early, and like you said, usually the Presidential Debate Commission will plan them much closer to the election so they can be fresh in your mind.
Yes.
But I think you're right. The candidates are choosing to do that. If you don't know, by the way, they're subverting the election commission or the debate commission, which is not something that's happened before. And they're doing this on their own much earlier. And I think, especially for Joe Biden's camp, I think he proposed the June date so that if he flops really fucking hard, there's a lot of padding between June and then the September debate and certainly the November election.
They're giving them time to formulate new drugs to get this man on stage.
And it's even more interesting because June 27th is before either candidate has officially accepted their party's nomination in July.
What we're just throwing everything in the face of the system right now. What a fucking sham of a year. I feel so robbed.
You couldn't have waited till July 20th?
I personally feel so robbed of this year, of this campaign coverage that only comes once every 4 years.
Yeah, and look, the sort of unofficial election cycle is already long enough. It basically doesn't end.
Yeah.
Once Biden got elected, Trump after a year was already campaigning to be president again. But now this really makes it longer. Because they're starting debates in June. It's crazy to me. The announcement of this pair of debates came after Biden's team dropped a video with Joe accepting the invitation from Trump to debate, proposing those 2 dates that I mentioned before. The first debate is in June, as I said. It will be at 9 p.m. Eastern time, moderated by Jake Tapper and Dana Bash in Atlanta. No idea why Trump agreed to this one.
I was gonna say how,
Jake Tapper.
I'm genuinely surprised because Trump, in my mind, would just be averse to anything that just isn't mediated by Hannity.
Well, and he tried to get it on Fox News. I don't know if he was trying to get it on Hannity, but he proposed Fox News, and Biden just said no.
Damn.
Which, complete respect for him rejecting the Fox News one, because we saw how it went with Gavin Newsom and Ron DeSantis, and it was completely skewed against Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, and Gavin Newsom's like competent and at least able to spin things and like do well, like orate well.
Yes,
Biden absolutely not. So huge big ups to my man for just flat out saying no. Oh my God.
The details on the ABC News debate are not set just yet. As I mentioned, Trump asked for more debates, one of them specifically on Fox News, but Biden already said no to that, and I feel like the Biden team probably won't accept more than 2 debates for him because that's more they got to prep for. And I'm guessing, they proposed this June 27th date, which is very soon, because they've probably already been doing some kind of prep. Yeah. They knew it was going to come at some point, and now they're obviously going to do more debate practice and stuff like that. But I'm guessing they were already preparing for this beforehand.
I'm just so flabbergasted by how early this is.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Now, we will also be getting a vice presidential debate. The Biden team agreed to a single VP debate hosted by CBS. Trump's team proposed a Fox News debate and hasn't agreed to the CBS debate just yet. But it seems, I would assume that Trump will eventually, whoever his VP pick is, they'll agree to have them go on stage with Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
And it seems like July 23rd or August 13th seem to be potential VP debate dates on the table. We don't know just yet, but another potential for us to watch it live and you come hang out.
That's also fucking crazy. Crazy that they're doing the debate before they're the official candidate, and crazy that they are scheduling the VP debate before Trump has even declared his VP.
And we don't even know who it is.
We barely have a short list.
Because they've presented 12 different people, and he said good things about all of them.
Yeah,
what are we talking about? As we said before, this is the first time, to my knowledge, that both campaigns are organizing separate of the debate commission. I think Trump obviously is ignoring the debate commission because the RNC has already denounced them as communist hacks, basically saying that they treated it unfairly in 2020. The RNC said they wouldn't work with them for 2024. And I think Biden's ignoring them because they fucked up pretty bad in 2020 with allowing Trump to come on stage with COVID and then refusing to cut his mic when he was, yelling over Joe Biden. So
those debates sucked.
Yeah, really bad. Really bad. What questions are you most excited for?
Oh,
God. If you had to guess right now.
I have no idea. I probably just to see how, one, I think Trump is, I don't know. I think it could go both ways. The question that I'm most eager to hear is any question about Israel, really.
Oh, yes.
Because we either have the Trump is going to go all out. We should just do it harder. We should let Israel go, and we should let Israel go unfettered and let them go harder. Or Trump is going to lie. Trump is going to see that maybe public opinion has swung, and he's just going to lie and say, free Palestine.
He's going to come out in a keffiyeh.
Precisely.
That should be awesome. He pulls out a prop.
Whip that shit out like who pulled out the cop? Who pulled out the police badge?
The guy
Herschel
who ran,
Walker.
Yeah, Herschel Walker.
Yeah, he'll pull it the keffiyeh out like the cop badge. And he'll get up there, glory to the martyrs. He'll wave the Hamas flag. Oh, my God.
No, I'm excited for that, too, especially the CNN debate, because Dana Bash is going to be like, how do we stop anti-Semitism on college campuses?
Oh, precisely.
And both of them are going to be like, yeah, we should kill the students. Biden will say it a little bit nicer, though, and that's how you know.
Well, we should put the students in facilities to hold them as we figure out what charges to put them on. And Trump will say, oh, we should jail them, prison them.
We should deport them.
We should deport them. We should send them to Gaza.
Oh, my God. Also, I'm excited to see them both agree on immigration.
Yes.
Obviously, the Biden line here is very easy. He'll say, we had an immigration deal, and this guy tanked it. Almost guaranteed that's what he's going to say. Trump will maybe spin some lie about that or say the immigration deal would have let in, 1 trillion people or whatever. But I'm excited to see them both agree that there is a crisis at the border.
Yeah.
And that immigrants need to be stopped.
Because there's no way that there isn't a question explicitly adopting right-wing framing and saying 20 fucking million people have flooded the border every day since Biden took office. What do you guys think about that?
There's going to be basically no counter messaging saying, immigrants built this country, or actually immigration isn't that big of a deal if we look at crime statistics or welfare statistics or whatever. It's non-existent in the Democratic Party.
Maybe Biden will bring up Laken Riley again and do the fucking thing. And then Trump
she was murdered by a degenerate immigrant.
And then Trump will be like, yeah.
Now, there's one small hiccup in these debate plans.
Oh.
And that's our favorite brain worm infested candidate.
Love that guy.
RFK Jr.
He's good.
He's a little hiccup in these plans because when the debates were initially announced, RFK Jr. threw a little bit of a fit on social media, and I think he was on like Newsmax or something like that. And he was complaining that he was being intentionally excluded from the debate stage.
Come on, brother.
And there were some leaks that the Biden team intentionally worked around the debate commission so that they wouldn't have to work with RFK, which I believe that.
So funny, actually.
But yeah, and you know what? Honestly, that's fine. I don't really care.
Yeah.
RFK Jr. is not a serious candidate, at least when it comes to policy. But if you feared these debates would be lacking sort of third-party input, or would be lacking, or maybe just boring to you,
yeah,
fear not, because we have a chance that RFK could legitimately be on at least one of these debate stages.
That's so good.
So
that's so good.
The reason I say this is because both ABC and CNN have announced that if RFK garners more than 15% on 4 national polls and is on the ballot in any number of states adding up to 270 electoral votes, he gets to be on the debate stage with Trump and Biden.
Man,
which would just be so awesome.
I would love to see RFK there, just right in the middle, and he just never gets a chance to talk.
Oh, and he sounds weird.
Did you see he dropped a 30-minute ad?
Yes! I was going to bring that up, yeah.
What the fuck are we doing? Just rambling.
Well, a 30-minute ad, and it starts off like, you might have heard I'm anti-Semitic. You might have heard that I hate the Jewish people.
You might have heard that I ate the vaccine, and I think it was there. What's that line from? Was it Joe Rogan? No, it wasn't Joe Rogan, but it was that one thing he did. He's like, oh, the vaccine, something about Ashkenazi Jews.
Yeah, the vaccine, or no, the COVID avoided. Was it Han Chinese and Ashkenazi Jews?
COVID was bioengineered in a Chinese lab to avoid Han Chinese and Ashkenazi Jews.
How would it even know?
well, you know.
Well, because it's the people who run the world, obviously.
Precisely, thank you.
Politically, probably the worst outcome in terms of Biden getting elected. Having anybody else on the stage going after him probably isn't good because he probably won't be able to handle it very well. Content-wise, though.
So fucking sick, man.
It'd be really funny.
I would love a 2v1. I would love that 2v1. I don't even know. What's he going to do? He's going to flank them both from the left and right on like some things.
Yeah, he's a political chameleon for a lot of people.
Absolutely. Maybe he'll flank Biden from the right on environmental policy, even though he hasn't been like that awful, I guess, on it. He did the Willow Project and that was bad, but everything else has been pretty okay. And then he'll flank the rest from the right and just say the Jews will not replace us on air.
Well, yeah, because Trump tries to frame RFK as like a communist, a socialist, a crazy leftist, basically. And and Biden's team, I think, correctly frames RFK as a sort of far right conspiracy nut job, which is really what he is. It seems like people in both camps can't really agree on what this guy actually believes.
And I think it is infinitely easier for people on the left or the potential Biden voters that RFK might siphon off to see that, oh, okay, this guy isn't like on our side. He's actually a right-wing lunatic than it is for maybe a potential Trump vote, a moderate Republican that could be siphoned off from Trump thinking that RFK is a socialist.
Yeah, and I have seen some polling data to suggest that RFK's numbers, to the extent that they're going up, entirely come from Republican voters.
Yeah.
Conservatives. Like the RFK's favor with the Democratic base or would-be Democratic voters has declined precipitously since like 2023.
Like, how could it not?
Yeah.
How could it not? Bro took the Kennedy name and absolutely put it in the shitter.
Yeah, no, talk about fizzling out the Kennedy name. Once a great political dynasty, now this guy. Yeah, he carries the torch forward. That brainworm really got to him.
It did.
Yeah.
It did.
Looking at 538, RFK usually gets around 7 to 12% on most polls, but it's not inconceivable that he gets to 15% on 4 polls. But before June, seems kind of steep to get there in 6 weeks.
I'm about to phone bank for RFK.
To make it happen.
To go around Michigan and start phone banking for him. I'm gonna go knock on doors. I want to see him on that debate stage.
Yeah, I saw a claim somewhere that he's already there. He might have claimed that himself, but I don't know if that's true. And of course, that'd have to be verified by CNN and ABC when the debates come around. He can't just say that's true. So we'll see.
To get on the ABC debate, would he have to have those numbers by June, or does he have a longer time to get in the September debate?
I would guess they'd give him until September to get those numbers.
I would be so happy. Maybe we get a clean 1v1 in June, right? Maybe on June 27th we get a clean 1v1 Trump v. Biden. And then RFK comes through. Biden's team refines some debate strategy or whatever. Trump keeps doing his own thing. They think they're set, and at the 11th hour, much like oh God, who qualified just at the last minute for the Republican primary?
Doug Burgum.
Just like Doug Burgum, RFK comes in at the 11th hour, swoops on that debate stage. They're putting up a third podium as the debate's about to start.
Oh my God.
That's theater right there.
Oh my God. Online leftists would make me lose my mind about that one.
Oh my God.
RFK is a viable alternative to Joe Biden. It'd be bad.
And that's why I think it's going to be crazy, because I can't wait to see Trump maybe say anything that's moderately like just against Joe Biden's Israel policy, just because he doesn't believe in anything.
Right.
And then see online leftists go, see? Look, this is what we've been telling you.
Look, if we want to free Palestine, maybe Trump will.
Maybe Trump will do it.
I do want to one quick bit on RFK Jr. You know, we've talked about him a lot.
Yes.
When he first announced that he was running, I think in the Democratic primary, we had a bit of a critique of him, talking about his sort of previous positions, what he's done, and how he's not someone to be trusted. But I want to, since we're getting close to the debates, and it's possible that he's on the debate stage, which I can't stress enough how fun that would be for me.
Golly.
I do want to say, if you're considering voting third party in this upcoming election, putting aside like the more systemic critiques about how third parties can't really win in our two-party system, don't vote for RFK Jr. Like if you really can't plug your nose and stomach voting for Biden, and you know we'll probably talk about this in the future, not going to do this whole thing right now. If you really feel like you got to vote third party, do not vote for RFK Jr.
Vote for fucking Joe Jorgensen or whoever the fuck.
Jill Stein.
Jill Stein. Vote for the Green Party. Do anybody else, frankly.
And the reason I say this is like, I think RFK is probably polling more than any third party candidate at the moment, but he's more Zionist than Joe Biden. He still does the COVID-19 lockdown hysteria. He's a vaccine conspiracy theorist. He gets a lot of his money from Republican donors. Like, for all intents and purposes, he would just govern like a conservative.
A worm
if not
ate his
worse.
brain.
A worm ate his brain.
Worm ate
and
his
look,
brain.
That's an important consideration given what John Fetterman is doing nowadays.
All I'm saying is that people who haven't had their worms eaten by brains don't drop 30-minute campaign ads.
Yes.
Like that. I'll leave it at that.
Nobody's watching that.
Nobody's yapping that one.
If you're on the left and you're really looking for an alternative to Biden, like he's just not the guy. It's just,
you might as well write in John Bolton.
Yeah.
Unironically, probably less insane.
Let alone that RFK Jr. can't win, and no third party can win for reasons we've talked about before. But like if you're looking for an ideological improvement to Biden, you're not going to find it with RFK Jr. So please, for the love of God, just do not vote for RFK Jr. Don't even consider it. His positions are bad. You could probably find some positions that seem better than Biden's on things like climate change. Maybe he talks about unions in a different way or something like that. But on the whole, when taken together, RFK Jr. is a worse option.
Well, he used to be like a huge environmentalist, wasn't he?
He was a lawyer, environmentalist lawyer.
I've seen his colleagues come out and say, "Dog, don't stop. Please stop. Don't do this."
I think his daughter said, like, I can't support my father for president.
My father, his brain was eaten by a worm. The worm is now controlling his body. Like,
not to mention that he's running with a Silicon Valley tech billionaire, Nicole Shanahan.
That's right.
That's his vice
forgot
president.
about that.
Like he's not like a for the working class kind of guy. He's running with a billionaire that funds his campaign, by the way.
What a time that we live in.
Yeah, man.
What a time.
I do think ultimately this is a good move for Joe Biden having the first debate pretty early because, as we said, it adds a whole lot of padding. I do wonder, though, it seems like the rules are going to be a little bit tighter for these debates, specifically because they're working around the commission that tries to be bipartisan, but in doing so just lets Trump do whatever he wants. I wonder if the tighter rules that if they actually end up restricting Trump will actually make Trump look better, because a lot of the reason he looks so bad is because he wouldn't stop fucking yapping last time around, and then he ended up saying some insane things.
Do you think they actually cut mics?
Maybe. I feel like no one's been brave enough to do that, especially to Trump.
I don't think so either. And like I feel like they got close at the like the first or second or the second or third RNC debate, but they could never actually do it. They just let him double ding.
Yeah,
they double dinged him, but they wouldn't actually cut the mic off. And I feel like if they did cut mics, Trump being outside the Presidential Debate Commission, being a CNN like run and hosted thing, I don't think that bodes well for Biden. I ironically think everybody always says every instance where Trump is held to the consequences he should, that he's being attacked politically. I think this is one where that would actually stick. I don't think it's CNN. Exactly. I don't think it sticks with the indictments. I think people generally don't like that, even moderate Republicans. I don't think it sticks with a lot of the other things that he's going through right now. But if CNN were to genuinely silence him in a way, I think that does stick. I think people get upset at that.
Yeah, I can see that, and for that reason, I feel like CNN won't go that hard on the rules and restrictions. And maybe that's for the better. Maybe Trump not being cut off or Trump being allowed to sort of ramble over Biden will make him look bad once again.
Yeah,
and maybe that's for the better ultimately, or maybe Trump will come out disciplined as hell.
Oh, true.
Just only speaking when he knows he's got something good to say.
Cold steel, bro, just out there.
Whether you like it or not, elections are here. And speaking of that vice presidential debate, you know who's at least for like the political commentators looking like they're at the top of the list right now for Trump? Doug Burgum.
No, dude, I
thought
that was a joke.
Doug Burgum's climbing.
For what?
He's a billionaire.
Him and his eyebrows.
He's a billionaire. Horrible choice, by the way, if Trump goes with him. It looks bad. It's another white dude. It's not going to win him any favors. But he's a billionaire that can finance the campaign and Trump's legal troubles. But also, I've seen him going on and doing some events for Trump. Trump just had a bunch of like cronies basically outside of the courthouse the other day.
Yeah.
It was like him, Vivek Ramaswamy, JD Vance, I think, and a couple of others. And Doug Burgum was like giving a speech on behalf of Trump. After at the debates, he was like, I don't think Trump should win. He's just crazy switch up. And look, I got to respect Doug.
That's good. But like, yeah, at least like the Mike Pence pick in, what was it, fucking 2016, a while ago, that legitimized him as like a politician. Like the reason to pick Mike Pence is because he's never been in politics before. Mike Pence has been established. Like it gave him legitimacy.
Establishment guy, yeah.
What the fuck does Doug Burgum do?
Billions.
Billions. He pays for all his legal fees. He pays his fucking Stormy Daniels fee. He pays whatever. I think genuinely Vivek would have been a good pick, but I don't think he's going to go for it.
Well, especially because Vivek might actually win a debate against Kamala Harris. Dude knows how to orate.
Oh,
got to give it to him.
I think he would absolutely win a debate against Kamala Harris. He would do it in ways that are bad and immoral, but I think he would win in like the public perception. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think he is the best pick because I mostly because I think he lets Trump say racist things. Considering that Ann Coulter, considering that Ann Coulter interview we talked about last week, he would let Trump say racist things and give him plausible deniability in the eyes of, I don't know, the average American electorate who has a black friend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I don't know. we probably won't hear about the VP pick until July.
You think like
because it usually comes either at the convention or right. No, it's usually at the convention, I think. That's when we learned about Kamala Harris with Joe Biden, was he announced it at the convention, and she walked out on the stage and gave a little speech. So he probably won't learn about it for a little while.
That's so annoying, man.
Unless
Just
there's
drop
leaks.
it right now. I guess he's not even the nominee yet.
I do hear Kristi Noem is completely off the list.
Really?
After all the shenanigans, the book tour, how bad she's been looking, I hear she's done.
Damn, that had to have been on purpose.
Yeah, and it's like if he wants to choose a woman to sort of combat Joe Biden having Kamala Harris, like symbolically, you know what I mean? I don't know who you would go with at this point because Kari Lake's running for Senate in Arizona.
I fucking wish we that'd have been a generational snipe.
Yeah.
If you'd have picked Kari Lake. We've been saying this since like 2020.
Yeah, I think we were right if the RNC was rational actors.
This is
we
true.
assumed rationality was a mistake.
This is true. You know,
she would have been the best.
So
pick.
much going on. Oh man, I think Vivek is a great pick, but he's not going to pick him. He's not going to pick. He'd lose too many Ann Coulter votes.
Yeah, and he needs those in order to win the election. And the reason Kari Lake would have been such a good choice is I think she's good at talking. She was a media personality beforehand, but also she would have captured the sort of suburban white woman fervor that Trump needs to win the election.
Well, just recaptured the suburban white women that Trump lost in 2020.
Yeah.
Like it's
and she would have done it. She would have done it.
And it's like she also kind of fills all of the roles that Vivek does and more.
Yeah.
Like huge stop the steal person. I would argue maybe the second biggest stop the steal person, at least in the amount that I heard them yap and they would not shut the fuck up about it. I feel like people don't really talk about it anymore, but she beat that dead horse. All 4 years she's been beating that dead horse. And again, she's a woman, so she helps him in that demographic.
And yeah, Trump could beat the sexist claims because he chose a woman for his vice president.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There we go.
How could he be a sexist? He has a woman
great.
friend.
That's why if the RNC were rational actors, they'd hire me.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Do you ever think, I want to buy my way into heaven?
Always.
I want to buy my way into the good graces of the people that I'm listening to in my ears right now.
That's right.
You can do that if you head over to patreon.com/headintheofficepod. And not only will you be supporting the show, Not only will you get early access to all of the content that we produce, but you'll also get an ad-free experience on the Patreon every Sunday, every time we release an episode.
You'll be able to pull up to the sermon on Sunday, on the Lord's Day, to hear the gospel as it's spoken.
Yeah, no more being late, no more interruptions mid-episode if you're listening to this ad right now.
Exactly.
It's on patreon.com/headintheofficepod. It's one of the best ways to support the show. It's one of the longest enduring ways to support the show.
Help buy a pass from all the sins you've committed. Start coming to church.
Yeah.
And we can get things going.
Yeah, that's only if you head over to patreon.com/headintheofficepod. It's in the description. It's there for you. That's enough debate talk. I think it's time to move on to another story.
Yes.
It's sort of a down in the dump story. It's not a good story.
Okay.
It's a follow-up on the protests that we've been seeing across the country on college campuses. And things aren't looking good, but for reasons I'll explain, I don't think we should be doomer about it necessarily.
Oh, word.
So I got a small story out of California that sort of, as I said, encapsulates the fallout of these college campus protests. For the last month or so, of course, as we've been talking about, there's been widespread protests at different universities demanding that the administration divest from Israel and divest from like weapons manufacturers that are sending weapons to Israel and that sort of thing. And it seems that these protests were at least somewhat successful because at Sonoma State University, a college in California, the president, Mike Lee, issued a statement last week announcing the following, quote, that he would initiate an academic boycott of Israel and work with a local chapter of the activist group Students for Justice in Palestine to form an advisory council on some decisions. That's directly from Politico. So it seems like the president of this somewhat smaller university in California just agreed. He said, okay, I'll listen to my student body.
Oh, sounds good. Sounds like things that should happen.
Seems like a dub. Seems like the protest worked.
Absolutely. W optimism.
W optimism. However, of course, no good deed goes unpunished, especially in the liberal hellscape of California.
Amazing.
Because almost immediately, the California State University chancellor announced that President Lee's statement and new policies were not delivered through the appropriate channels, and that he would be disciplined, quote, because of this insubordination and the consequences it has brought upon the system. Just so you know, Sonoma State University is a part of the broader California State University system.
It's a UC system.
So this chancellor basically holds dominion over President Mike Lee.
Wow. Oh, it's so sick. I love it when liberals do the thing where it's like, oh, someone beneath me did something good, but it may not be in necessarily like my best interest. I'm going to punish them with bureaucracy.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm going to abdicate any of the moral responsibility I may take by stopping a good thing from happening by saying, well, you didn't do it like the right way.
Yeah. And also it's like, what's the point of like a broader university system statewide if the smaller ones don't have some kind of autonomy?
Yeah.
Like at all? You can't just make this decision. And like, okay, I don't know the size of this university, but I gotta guess it's not as big as UCLA.
Yeah, it's no Berkeley.
Yeah, like, it's not I'm gonna guess it's one of the smaller schools in the California system. You couldn't have allowed this guy to just do it.
And it's so like nothing. Like it's a good thing. It's a great thing that happens. They're going to talk about it. They're going to listen to their student body. But like in the grand scheme of things, this isn't going to hurt UC.
Yeah, and it was only from what I read an academic boycott. So, you know, taking researchers out of Israel if they're there, no more programs where you send students to Israel or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was an academic boycott, and then he was going to work with an activist group to basically form a sort of council that helps him make future decisions about future policies. Tiny stuff.
Tiny stuff, but stuff that means something.
Yes,
like stuff that represents an accurate like divestment from bad things that are happening.
Yeah, it represents a university actually listening to the student body and not cracking down on them with police.
Yeah.
Seems like something that a president of a university should do at the very least. And then last Friday, to make the story worse, President Mike Lee abruptly announced his retirement.
Damn, they forced my man's out.
Yeah, my assumption being that they forced him out, probably threatened even more punishments if he didn't leave willingly, functionally firing him for listening to the student body.
Wow.
Yeah, and I highlight this story, and that's basically the end of it, but I highlight this story to show that a president of the university here sort of bucks the status quo, and I don't know, maybe he caved, or maybe he felt sympathetic towards the protesters. Maybe he actually believes that Israel is an apartheid state. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
For whatever motivated this guy, he listened to his student body. He functionally gets fired for it, and I think it just goes to show you that, like, you can have a sort of mass uprising that impacts people in power, but sometimes even that isn't enough.
Yeah, sometimes there's a guy in even more power that just comes down and says no.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's someone who is so far removed from you and the everyday operations of things that you're doing that can just come through and say no.
Yeah, and look, it seems sort of doomer. It seems sort of down to watch this and be like, oh, we finally made some progress. Then immediately this guy gets fired and the progress is reversed, right? It's not a great feeling, and I'm sure the protesters at that university who were celebrating for like 24 hours feel even worse about this. It's kind of discouraging, but I think it's a blip on the radar and will be a sort of point in history where maybe we can look back in the future and say, like, yeah, they weren't successful, but they paved the road for success later down the road. You know what I mean? Because the metric of individual protest, the metric for success of individual or if the metric of success for individual protests is immediately achieving its goals, then almost every protest fails throughout history. You know what I mean? Progress takes a long time. I think, as Jon Stewart said, progress comes from people endlessly banging on locked doors until they finally open. Yeah. It's not going to come immediately. It may not even come in our lifetimes, but as long as we continue to push the ball, as long as we continue to bang on that door, things eventually will change.
Yeah, no one protest gave women the right to vote. No one protest passed the civil rights movement. There weren't a bunch of failed protests, and then the Million Man March that finally did it. There were a bunch of protests, and then pressure built and built and built and built, and finally the Civil Rights Act was passed. Yeah,
and I think the student protesters at this university should be, every student protester, but especially these guys should be proud of themselves because they made something change.
Yeah, they won.
They showcased power. They won in a sort of way, and then powers that they can't necessarily reach came down and sort of truncated or removed that progress that they had made. But it's discouraging, but I think people just got to see it for what it really is. It's a showcase of strength from institutions that currently exist, and it shows you that change is possible. You just got to keep pushing.
Yeah, it's just the truth. People in power can absolutely be pressured.
Yes.
The issue is this fucking chancellor is just so far removed from any of the systems that he can just, I'm coming, whatever.
Yeah, but it shows a weakness, right? It's a crack.
It's a crack in the system.
It's a crack in the sort of strong facade or the face of an institution in this state, and I think people should look at that as a success. Like, oh, things can move, and they'll get scared when we start to move it.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah. So ultimately, I think you should be optimistic when you hear a story like this, because it means things can change, even if these students won for but a moment and then had that victory rescinded.
Exactly. Just another thing to show you why our right to protest absolutely needs to be protected in spite of, I don't know, things like the Fifth Circuit decision and everything that happened with the other university protests. But have you ever wondered what we're thinking about during the week?
Well, I know what I'm thinking about.
I know what I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
I probably know what this guy's thinking about too, but do you? I don't think you do. But if you want access into, I don't know, my mind palace, the inner workings of what's going on, how I come up with the bars I need to develop this show every week, to produce this wonderful podcast we bring to you every week, why don't you head on over to X, formerly known as Twitter.com, and give us a follow, You
can also consider becoming a subscriber on YouTube.
That's right.
You could follow us on Instagram, see what we're shit posting on the stories.
Oh my gosh.
We have a plethora of options available to you if you want to engage with the Hiddo community. So consider following us on social media. It's completely free.
For free.
It's completely free, and it supports the show.
While we're on the topic of Israel and Palestine, we do have a minor update this week on things that are going on. So last episode, we covered Biden's decision to finally do something that could temper Israel's ability to harm civilians in Gaza.
Right.
And that was, he announced he would be holding up the shipment of about 3,500 bombs, some upwards of 2,000 pounds. And that was significant because people like the Pentagon say the ideal targets for 2K bombs are buildings, railways, and communications infrastructure. Those are pretty big targets. That's pretty big,
big targets that you want to annihilate completely.
Yeah, big targets you want to completely turn into rubble. Big targets where you're not targeting the building. There are people inside those buildings too. You know what I'm saying? And New York Times reported that U.S.-made 2,000-pound bombs are responsible for some of the worst attacks on civilians in Gaza since October 7th. So there's a very clear line between things that we have done and funded and supplied and the genocide.
Yes.
And bad things. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Very, very clear line.
And look, we've known this. We've been saying this, but it's good to see sort of official publications say this.
Yes.
And Joe Biden himself, the president of the free world, the leader of the free world, recognize that what we're doing is bad.
It was very good to see Biden buck them in some way, shape, or form, even though some would say it's too little, too late. It's very nice to see at least that some pressure can get through and he's going to stop. There are some moral considerations when it comes to a genocide, believe it or not.
No matter how minor.
No matter how minor, I guess they are to be celebrated. But This week, we have to talk about how the GOP said no.
Oh.
GOP leadership rushed a bill to the floor in the House that passed on Thursday that would force the weapons transfer. The bill passed 224 to 187 with 16 Democrats voting for and 3 Republicans voting against. And just for a look into the kind of Democrat that is willing to break with the party on this, we have Representative Richie Torres from New York.
I hate him. He sucks.
He sasaid, quote, "I have a general rule of supporting pro-Israel legislation unless it includes a poison pill like cuts to domestic policy."
So just anything.
Just anything. What a insane thing to say. I just have a general rule of just like, yeah, this is good. And it's like, it's not like this is like pro-LGBT legislation or something like that. It's not like this is pro like a civil right. This is pro a foreign nation doing a war.
Yeah.
I think there are very clear lines here. I think the poison pill when it comes to pro-Israel policy is supplying them the ability to kill tens of thousands of innocent civilians.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a pretty big poison pill.
And he just doesn't even address that, like the leader of his own party is like, well, maybe we should pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah.
That's
yeah, no,
good.
None of that. He said that after signing a letter to Biden saying, no, this is wrong.
Well, part of me now thinks that like Biden came out and did this public-facing red line, but then behind the scenes he was like, well, you guys should still pass this though, and I'll sign it. That's how I'm starting to feel.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't.
Also,
doubt it.
I'm kind of interested in these 3 Republicans. Gotta just be Nazis, right? Like, who are the 3?
It's got to be Jack Posobiec,
or maybe there wasn't enough in the bill. They're like, we need to send even more bombs.
That's true. We need to add more 200-pound bombs. Maybe throw in an Eagle airstrike.
500 kg.
500 kg. Maybe a hell bomb for Israel in this one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But either way, Republicans in general are saying that Biden has no right to criticize Israel for their handling of the war in Gaza. Absolutely insane take.
Why not?
With Mitch McConnell coming out and saying, quote, "We are beyond frustrated. I don't think we should tell the Israelis how to conduct their military campaign, period."
I think we fucking should. We give them the arms to do it.
That's what I'm saying. And even if we weren't giving them arms to do it, we are an ally. There should be conditions to allyship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not just unequivocal support, uncritical support.
Exactly. You can go to a friend. Even take out foreign policy, international relations. You can go to a friend and say, hey, man, I don't think you should, kill this old woman that's walking on the street. I wouldn't want to be friends with you if you did that.
Yeah.
And then if they don't reconsider and they go ahead with it, you can stop being friends with them. Maybe you're letting a friend sleep on your couch and they're, doing bad things. You can say, dog, no, actually.
Well, yeah, and if Israel wants to be seen as the most moral military in the world, I think they should be open to criticism.
Exactly. We should act like it. That should not be something we can just say. That should be a high bar to overcome.
To prove constantly.
Exactly.
Every time,
the burden of proof is on you, dog. Especially in the face of the ICJ and all their rulings that they've dished out.
Like, why can't we tell another country how to do their military offensive? We would tell anybody else how to do it.
Oh, 100%. We have started wars over how other people have done it. We've gotten upset. We've done special ops because other people have done things badly. We didn't say, oh, we can't tell Gaddafi what to do. We fucking did our shit.
We can't tell Salvador Allende what to do. They're a sovereign nation.
Exactly.
Surely we won't go in and kill him after a democratic election.
Oh, we can't tell Ho Chi Minh what to do. Surely we won't start a fucking war. Surely we won't be a part of a war that we had just no place being in general. We can't tell the South Vietnamese how to handle the North Vietnamese. Come on now.
Yeah.
This has never been a standard that Americans have set themselves to. And then when we are supplying them the weapons that journalists have verified have killed civilians, I think there's a pretty big line there that's been crossed.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like it's not rocket science. It's not a tough argument to understand that, like, if we're giving a country something or if we're selling something to them, that they can't use it to do what we don't want them to use it for.
It's pretty good.
Pretty simple.
A concept called conditioned aid.
There's a law on it, actually, a U.S. law,
which is crazy because I feel like we've moved so far past the conditioned aid conversation. It was like months and I want to say it's like 4 months ago is when people stopped talking about like, oh, they don't want to condition aid, and we've just accepted the fact that no one in power is willing to condition aid on Israel.
And the only condition was the red line is Rafah, and I'm not sending you these very specific bombs, but I'll send you other shit.
Exactly. You can have the munitions, you can have whatever you want. You just can't have the apartment levelers.
Yeah, the tank shells, the whatever bullets. Yeah, you can have basically everything else.
You just can't have the hell bomb.
Yeah. As the IDF records a tank like rolling over a sign that says Rafah on it.
You can. In other words, you can have your resupply, but you can't have the other stratagems.
To put it in the gamer terms.
Your stratagem slots are limited, and I think that's fair. I think that's a very fair thing to do, right? And so specifically, what this House bill that passed does is it condemns Biden, much like Hamas,
nice,
for holding up the shipment and threatens to withhold funding from the State Department, the DoD, and the National Security Council until the bombs are delivered. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Chuck Schumer says that this will not pass in the Senate, but I don't believe him. Straight up, I don't believe him.
Why wouldn't it? You got John Fetterman there.
That's what I'm saying.
That's all you need.
What I would be surprised if the bill did not at least pass. Biden has said he will veto it, which, you should. This is the thing you're doing. Yeah. You should veto it if you don't want it to happen. But I'm not necessarily sure this could pass the this wouldn't pass the veto-proof majority.
You think that they would? Well, they didn't have it in the House.
That's true, yeah.
You need 2/3 to get it in the House. And in the Senate, I mean, you'll have Joe Manchin and John Fetterman at the very least. But probably some other Democrats vote for this. Maybe they can get it past the filibuster. But I have a feeling that the Democrats imposing the filibuster on this wouldn't last very long.
No.
You know what I mean? They would eventually let it go through.
I think there is a chance that this could ultimately pass even with Biden vetoing it. But I don't know. That's just conjecture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not as many Democrats in the House flipped as I would have expected. However, I think that, should this bill pass in the Senate, it will go in the first round.
Nice.
I'm surprised that only 16 Democrats flipped. That was kind of a shocker to me. And while the GOP's explicit goal here is to make sure Israel can kill as many brown people at once in Gaza, there's another more implicit layer that is they are doing this to kind of sow division in the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
And I think that the Democrats for once are doing strategy brain and they're sticking together on this one. Which,
maybe.
Sure.
Hopefully. They didn't in the House, so I feel like there's got to be at least some people that'll split off.
That's why I would say I'm surprised, because I feel like 16 splitting off isn't that crazy.
Yeah.
That's equivalent to a couple?
Yeah, and I don't want to be too cynical, and I usually don't try to be conspiracy brained when it comes to public statements Biden has made. I usually just take him at his word for what he's saying. But I really wouldn't be surprised if Biden's okay, I got a lot of people in my own base that are mad at me for not drawing any red lines, not conditioning at all. So let me do this publicly. Then behind the scenes, you can get it to pass.
Yeah, let me pin this on the GOP as, oh no, my hands were tied.
Right.
The legislative process.
And maybe if he vetoes it, I can be proven wrong. I'm not saying this is exactly what is happening, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's the sort of action behind the scenes.
Well, Jack,
just so he can wash his hands of being responsible for it happening.
Jack, who am I to get away the legislative process?
Yeah, and it would make sense if this was the move, because like we talked about last episode, the red line in Rafah is completely arbitrary. Because they invaded northern Gaza where hundreds of thousands of people were living, and they leveled that place too. And we didn't draw a red line there.
Just routinely been crossed. It is continuing to be crossed. They are doing operations in Rafah. I think this week they announced that they would be expanding operations in Rafah. Another thing going on sort of in the background is the ICJ. There are trials going on right now involving Israel and South Africa. South Africa is petitioning the International Court of Justice to impose a ceasefire on what's happening right now because of the operations in Rafah.
Yeah.
So that's another thing going on, because Israel continually is announcing expansion.
Do you see that some GOP either House members or senators were threatening to withdraw funding or support from the ICJ over this? They're like, if you impose this onto Israel, I don't know if it's the ceasefire thing, but it might have just been the case in general. If you do this against Israel, we're going to withdraw our support from the ICJ.
Nice.
Which is okay, I guess, the global institutions, maybe they are falling. The West is falling, I guess.
If you do your job and you are the oversight body that you were, incited to be, you're losing your money, dog.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we support you insofar as you let us do whatever we want.
Yeah. No job. No job to you. And so, a lot of the, like I said with the Mitch McConnell quote, a lot of the GOP sentiment behind doing something like this is saying, America, we're turning our back on our greatest ally. We're turning our back on Israel, which is very funny, because it's important to note that this is all happening while in the background this week it was leaked, or a staffer said, maybe, I'm pretty sure it was leaked, that a $1 billion arms transaction is happening where we are going to send Israel millions of dollars in munitions, weapons, and vehicles.
Yeah.
So it's we are literally just stopping the bombs. You know what I mean?
That's one thing that I got wrong last week. I thought we were completely cutting off all offensive weapon shipments.
That's what I thought, too. It's literally
just the bombs. That's one thing we got to correct from last week. I thought Biden was taking a stance against all offensive weapons going to Israel, because that would make sense because they're about to do an offensive with our weapons.
Yeah.
But no, it's just the bombs.
It's just the hell bomb. Like they just don't want the hell bomb
just
to
the
go
biggest
off.
thing.
Just the huge thing. Maybe an Eagle airstrike. Maybe a strafing run. That's okay.
Maybe.
But like I don't understand how Rafah can be a red line. But the only consequence is we won't give you the most destructive thing we have.
Right.
You can go in and you can still do whatever you want, though.
Yeah. Again, it's inconsistent, which makes me think that something is happening behind the scenes to sort of motivate this, to push it along.
And it's like, I do have to note, at least, that there is an important distinction between this deal, the $1 billion like weapons transfer that is currently being worked out, and holding up the bombs. And the difference is that this weapons transfer, Israel wouldn't get those for about 2 to 3 more years.
Oh, really?
So they would be well after what is going on. But like they would be hopefully well after whatever is happening in Gaza has subsided, right? So there is a sort of meaningful difference in that, but it does spit in the face of the GOP narrative that we're leaving them behind, and kind of only reaffirms the idea that like we really just are at least maybe trying to do something. In the midst of active genocide, in the midst of 2 million people being displaced and pushed into a tent city that we don't want a hell bomb to go off in.
Yeah, if this is leaving them behind, then it's a pretty nice way to do so. you know, it's a pretty inconsequential leaving behind.
Absolutely. It's very inconsequential when the State Department has very much radically in favor of funding both Israel's defense and offense, just as long as it's not in the current moment. Like, come on now. We're not doing shit.
Yeah. Does that wrap up Israel and Gaza?
I think so. I know there was a little bit of news that I didn't quite fit in here because like I wasn't too sure about how significant this is, but apparently the Israeli War Cabinet is 3 members, right? I think I don't know if Bibi's in it, but Bibi has 3. There's at least 3 people in it. One of the members of the Israeli War Cabinet, some fucking moderate guy, said that he is going to leave the War Cabinet by June 8th if they don't stop or at least give post-war plans for what's the people of Gaza.
Oh shit, Hamas has infiltrated the IDF.
That's what I'm.
Or
that's
the Israeli government.
Brother, that's exactly what I thought. I thought we should get him out sooner. I said June 8th. Why are we waiting until June 8th? It's what, fucking May 19th?
Yeah.
Come on now, we can't have Hamas doing this. But I think the significant part of that is the idea that the War Cabinet is coming out and saying they do not have any post-war plans. Bonkers.
Well, yeah, they've been admitting this for a while. I think we talked about a long time ago how this was probably back in like November at this point.
Yeah, that's true.
How neither Joe Biden nor the Israeli government had a plan for Gaza post-war, quote unquote. It doesn't matter. There is no plan. They just want Palestinians out.
It's like you'd think that what are we like 7-8 months into this? That maybe they'd have plans to like do something. Maybe they'd want to do something there.
Bulldoze it and put a resort for Americans on the Gaza beach, really good. On the sea.
Bulldoze it. Put up an all-inclusive resort, and that's where the birthright people can go.
Well, all-inclusive because you know what Hamas does to gay people, right?
Precisely.
If you're LGBTQ, how could you support Hamas?
Yeah, so many of those comments this week. It was ridiculous.
Well, and there was also people, we talked about like the flag thing a couple of weeks ago, the NYPD taking down the flag and putting up the American flag and thinking that they're all cool. We called it corny. And then people were legitimately saying, oh, if you fly the flag of Palestine, you should be sent to Gaza.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't care about free speech.
I saw
like, at all.
Oh my god, man! No, that shit is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. Free speech, like the Supreme Court itself, conservative Supreme Court has upheld many times throughout history that you can desecrate the flag if you want to. It's a component of free speech. But even if there was laws on the books, and even if the Supreme Court disagreed with being able to desecrate the flag as a component of free speech, I think it's personally, I think it's fine if you destroy a flag of a government.
Yeah,
because it's the government. Like why should they be able to tell me to not destroy the flag that represents them?
I don't know. It's just like it's corny.
Yeah,
like it's just corny discourse. And you know, while we're on flag discourse and we're moving into the extra little stories that happened this week, did you hear what? Speaking of the Supreme Court and flag discourse, did you hear maybe any whispers of what's going on?
No, I have no idea.
Apparently, our favorite. Well, I don't want to say our favorite justice. One of our favorite justices, Samuel Alito. After the 2020 flag was flying, 2020 election was flying his flag outside of his own upside down. I didn't know what that means, but apparently the news is telling me that was a stop the steal symbol.
Putting it upside down?
Yeah, like flying it upside down
SOS
outside of your
type
house.
Shit, yeah.
People were saying that was a stop the steal thing. So it's bonkers to me that we have a fucking Supreme Court justice that is pro stop the steal, who legitimately thinks that the election was stolen from Trump.
Was he on the court back when the Supreme Court stole the election for George Bush? I don't know if he's that old.
Hasn't he been there for like forever though?
Yeah, I don't remember when he got appointed. But either way, that's crazy.
That blew my fucking mind.
I love SCOTUS.
They're good people.
We're about to start getting decisions pretty soon.
They're nonpartisan.
Yeah.
It is springtime. It is SCOTUS season coming up. I don't think there's anything as consequential as there was last year.
I can't think. There's one case that I've been meaning to bring up, but we've had a bunch of other news on homelessness. I think the Supreme Court's going to decide if states can
kill you for sleeping in the subway.
Yeah, it's something that I can't remember exactly what state had put in some insane law for homeless people. I don't know, because homeless people can already be arrested for being homeless. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was something that is going to make being homeless a lot harder.
Well, Eric Adams is directly petitioning Clarence Thomas and the rest of the court,
taking them out to dinners in New York,
exactly, to be able to murder anyone who's sleeping in the subway.
Yeah, there's some case related to homelessness that I think is going to end up being really bad. I think it was Ketanji Brown Jackson and maybe Sotomayor.
Yeah.
Maybe. They were arguing against whatever bad things about to happen. But, it's going to be 3 versus 6.
Oh, man. And, you know what? We do have SCOTUS decisions coming up about Trump shit. About presidential immunity. I forgot about those. I've kind of I can't lie. You would know if you've been listening to our podcast and our coverage. The Trump shit is very much that'd be a whole separate podcast to talk about all the fucking news that comes out about that.
That's Pod Save America. They talk about it every time they record a podcast.
They can do that. That's the liberal thing to focus on.
It's too much. I just don't care about the in and outs of the court.
I swear to God, I stopped going. I used to. If you're a longtime listener, I've talked about how usually my routine for finding stories to talk about on the show, maybe niche stories to highlight, is to go on r/politics, look through, see if I can find any niche things. It's one of the sources I go to. I fucking stopped doing that 4 months ago because every goddamn story that makes it there is just fucking Stormy Daniels, Trump is paying this amount of money to somebody, Trump is doing this, and liberals are so fucking annoying.
It's too much.
I can't handle it. It's making me not care about that news anymore.
Yeah.
Until something crazy happens, SCOTUS decides that Trump can literally kill someone on Fifth Avenue. It's just whatever to me.
The Pod Save guys will literally go through what happened in the court the previous 2 days before their pod. Yeah. They will say what somebody said during testimony, what the reporters are saying about it, because I don't think there's cameras in the room. It's just there's other shit happening.
And correct me if I'm wrong,
they record multiple podcasts a week, so it's not like they're necessarily missing other big news not related to courts, but it's you really don't got much to talk about, do you?
And it's correct me if I'm wrong, but most of the shit that comes out about the trial, it's so banal.
Yeah, it's Trump farts in the courtroom or something.
Yes, Trump. Oh my God, Trump fell asleep in court. That's funny. Don't get me wrong. That's the news I want to talk about.
Sleepy Don.
But so much of it. Can you believe Trump said this? There is nothing that Trump can say at this point in my life in the year 2024 that I would not believe he said.
Oh, unless you start saying from the river to the sea.
Exactly. Unless he comes to court in a keffiyeh, then I'll be okay, maybe I need a picture of this.
That would be notable news. Then we'll talk about it on the pod. Yeah,
but goddamn, all of the indictment things, the news it's just so it's so inside baseball. I hate it, especially with everything going on in Gaza, with everything going on across the country, and every other aspect. I'll let the liberals take that one because it's all they want to fucking talk about.
Yeah, I think the only time we talked about it was when it started, and then when a dude lit himself on fire outside of the courtroom.
Yes, there have been a couple times sprinkled in between where I don't know, something significant happened, but it's end of the episode news.
Yeah.
Golly,
well, speaking of the extra news that we're getting to, there was one little thing. I don't know if you saw this, but this was a John Fetterman story.
The Fetterman is back.
The Fetterman is back, and he's a sort of enemy of the pod now. He's no longer a friend of the show. And there was this really funny clip posted by the Sunrise Movement on TikTok.
Okay,
I don't know if you saw this, but
I definitely did not.
I wanted to play it on the show because I just thought it captures what he is now.
Wait, oh God, I might know what this is. I heard about it. I haven't seen it. Is it the clip of him mocking someone who's protesting a constituent?
I think they're a constituent, but I'll play it in just a second. Okay. And I'll just say, if this would have dropped while I was making the Fetterman video essay, I would have included this because it's so funny. Let's take a look.
Hi, Senator.
I didn't expect this.
No,
I didn't. Oh my gosh.
Well, I'm from Chester County, in Pennsylvania, and I am really concerned about the way that pipelines are being built in our communities and on in our backyards, threatening our lives, our water. And in 2018, you actually joined us for a protest when you were running for lieutenant governor of the pipeline running through Chester County through my community. And you, why the change of heart? Why aren't you standing with people of Pennsylvania right now?
Well, I would be more
Did you see that before?
No, I didn't see that. Isn't
that ridiculous?
Insane. Like when I first like heard about maybe like there was a confrontation between John Fetterman and constituent. I assumed maybe the constituent is being like annoying, but
completely reasonable.
I think that constituents have a right to annoy their elected senators, especially when they're John Fetterman, especially when they need to put on a suit, right? You know what I'm saying? But like this was a completely reasonable interaction.
Yes.
The fact that bro whipped out his phone like a Karen, recording you at the checkout,
like she's a cop,
is literally. Is absolutely insane.
Yeah, he recorded her like she was a police officer about to like brutalize him for a speeding ticket or something like that.
That's it. Or it's like maybe it's not even like a cop because people are like justified in recording in those situations. It's like when I'm trying to think of like the situation. It's like when a Karen is fucking like freaking out on a Walmart worker and someone records it and she whips out her phone and starts recording you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's like, oh well, I'm recording you. Blah. This is a blah blah blah, and doesn't know about one party state laws or whatever. Like, come on, that's crazy.
And all like, yeah, she's not being threatening at all. She's like, hey, why do you support this pipeline when back in 2020 or 2022 or whatever you stood with us at a protest? Like completely reasonable. And then he's just like, oh my god, I didn't expect this. Like, I don't know what the fuck happened to this guy.
That's a generational switch up. Like that's a fall from grace if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, it's the Sunrise Movement. That's like a whole like that and Sierra Club are like the left wing climate organizations, and usually voting for Democrats because Republicans don't believe in climate change. It's like if I don't know how you got there.
He's just like slowly adopting every single right-wing issue. And it started with immigration, right? Like he came out a bit ago as like anti-immigration.
Yeah, it was immigration. Yeah.
It started with immigration, and then he put on the Israel cape as a flag, which if I'm an annoying right-winger, he should be locked up for. Why are you wearing another country's flag?
Exactly. Why is that not an American flag?
Yeah. What the fuck?
You're flying another country's flag.
Why are you decorating your office with a poster of every single Israeli hostage? Like
shit's corny.
That shit was crazy. Like he went full swing on that, and now is he just switching up on climate change too?
He always had some iffy positions on climate change, because I went back and looked at some of our takes on him back when he was running against Mohammed Oz, just for the purposes of the video that I made. And we had commented in the debates that he had that he was like, kind of weird on climate change, and he should, lean a bit more towards green energy stuff.
But Pennsylvania.
Well, yeah,
that's why we thought it. Yeah,
Pennsylvania's I think natural gas state.
It's one of their biggest. Their economy runs on something that's kind of bad,
or used to before deindustrialization and all that. Yeah, like it's been important for the Pennsylvania economy. So we kind of understood why he was saying that, but we always thought it was more of like a sort of stance for the people of Pennsylvania rather than an ideological commitment to like we need to produce natural gas. You know what I mean? But maybe we were wrong on that. Maybe we were just wrong about him.
Maybe we were just, man.
Maybe everyone was wrong about him.
It's crazy, being episode 150, because you go back to episode 100, and we're probably saying great things about this guy.
Yeah.
You go back to episode 100, I'm probably defending him. I'm probably defending him for not wearing a suit.
Yeah, well, we were.
Man, how...
We were. I remember,
I'm glad I've changed.
Yeah, we were defending him, saying like, "Oh, Republicans are so dumb for being mad at Fetterman for not wearing a suit." And then, 6 weeks later, we're like, "Man, fuck Fetterman."
That's what I'm saying.
Put on a suit.
I'm glad I changed. I'm glad I finally saw the light at the end of the tunnel and I went towards it.
Yeah. Before we get to something that maybe will make our own listeners mad, I want to talk about Greg Abbott for a second.
Yeah.
One thing that was in the news was Greg Abbott just pardoned this guy named Daniel Perry, who
we talked about it a couple months ago.
Yeah, Daniel Perry was convicted of killing a Black Lives Matter protester.
Yes.
And it was one of the most open and shut cases of all time.
Absolutely.
Because he premeditated it in a text basically saying like, I'm racist and I want to kill protesters.
Well, I think, again, I'm paraphrasing. I think what he did is he drove his car into a crowd of protesters, got out and shot one, right?
Yes. Yep. He shot him.
I'm pretty sure he had sent a text beforehand that said, I'm going to drive my car into this crowd and shoot the first one I see or some shit like that. Insane.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy.
And he was like texting a friend or something like this. First of all, crazy you would even have these thoughts.
Yes.
Crazier that you would put it into writing and send it to somebody
in a form that can be subpoenaed.
Yeah, exactly. Don't do that. Don't do this generally, but definitely don't put it into writing. And then so he said like, I'm gonna kill a protester because they're making me late for work or something like that.
Yes.
And then he literally did it, and he got convicted by a jury of his peers in the state of Texas.
Come on, high bar.
Texas has the most protective stand your ground laws in the entire country. He couldn't even get past this at a time when Kyle Rittenhouse was being lauded by the right wing.
And we also have to consider that he couldn't even make it past this. When I've seen people say that the person he shot was also armed.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he couldn't even get past the stand your ground self-defense things when he killed someone who was armed in Texas.
In Texas.
The most gun-loving, open carry-ass state in the union.
Yeah.
Like, you people open carry to Kroger, and they don't have Krogers in Texas, but you get the point.
Well, yeah, it's like Texas. Every other person you run into is going to have a gun on them.
Exactly.
It's Texas. Like, the laws are designed to do that.
Like, come on now.
Yeah.
Like, very open and shut, very unambiguous that he killed somebody.
Yeah, and then, so it was, again, open and shut case, convicted by a jury of his peers, and then Greg Abbott very recently just pardoned this guy. I didn't see really any other explanation other than I want to pardon this guy. And what that tells me is Greg Abbott's soft on crime.
Absolutely, 100%.
This dude just went out and murdered somebody for protesting, and he got away with it.
Me, I'm tough on crime. I'm throwing the book at that guy.
Yeah,
I'm tough on crime.
And it's a virtue signal, not in the way it's like where it's like vapid and empty.
I was gonna say I wouldn't even say it's a virtue signal. It's just a bad thing.
Maybe it's just a regular signal to other people that might do this. That like, hey, if you do it in my state, I got you. Don't worry.
This is chill, actually.
Yes. Just what an insane story. Just pardoning a guy who put his racism into text, put his premeditated murder into text, got convicted for it, and you're just pardoning him.
What a fucking time we live in.
Yeah.
What a great time.
Yeah.
What a great time to be alive.
The last thing happening this week is the celebrity blockout.
Yes.
Not good.
Some thoughts.
Not good.
Some thoughts about the celebrity blackout.
Look, it's giving Instagram Black Square.
Yes.
If you don't know what this is, peace be unto thee, I would say turn off the episode. Maybe you don't need to learn about it. Just go away and live your life never knowing what this was. But if you want to stay, the from what I understand, the celebrity blockout thing is an effort on behalf of some influencers to block a bunch of different celebrities that either haven't spoken out against Israel or have spoken out in favor of Israel. We're talking about celebrities like Kim Kardashian, who recently had a All Lives Matter moment, which is actually pretty funny. And no others come to the top of my head immediately, but there's a bunch of different celebrities that are like, they haven't said anything, so let's block them. If you want to block people, go crazy.
If you want to block celebrities, especially, like, go for it. But, like,
I just don't like people that are acting like this is activism, because it's not. It's straight up not. And my worry here is that people do this, think they're doing something for Palestine, and then they're satisfied with themselves, thinking that, oh, I just did a successful day of activism, when you're not doing anything.
And that's at the crux of it, right? Because I'm not coming to the defense of whatever celebrity. I don't even know what celebrities are on the block list.
Yeah.
I don't even know what block list is the block list, considering that Hassan is on some of these block lists. Like, if I feel like if that doesn't delegitimize a decentralized movement in of itself, what will?
Yeah.
Hassan, one of the loudest pro-Palestinian activists with one of the biggest platforms,
donated like hundreds of thousands of dollars to different Palestinian groups.
Like, he's been a soldier for the cause. Like, you
for a long time.
You unambiguously cannot say that he should be on a block list for not speaking out enough. As he said himself, he's been speaking out about this longer than you've known about the issue. Like, come on now.
Yeah, it feels like the black square thing. And it's really annoying to see people making this a bigger deal than it actually is. This isn't activism. Go outside and go to an actual protest.
Yeah.
Show up at your senator's house and protest while he's there trying to sleep. That will make more of a difference and cause more of a sort of public outrage and generate more support towards Palestine than just blocking celebrities. Because also, what does blocking celebrities even do?
Blocking. I don't think blocking Kim Kardashian is going to do anything.
Yeah.
I don't think Kim Kardashian losing like 15,000 followers is going to affect her.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. But I also recognize maybe I'm jaded on the issue too. Maybe this is a shoe doesn't fit kind of thing. I have no idea. I've never been the type of person to follow celebrities. You know what I mean? I barely knew this was going on. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, and to me, I have never expected any of the celebrities whose like content they produce I enjoy, any of the music artists, any of the artists, any of the actors whose characters they've portrayed I've enjoyed. I've never expected them to be necessarily like in touch. So when this all kind of popped off with the Haley Bailey situation, I didn't fucking like, yeah, she did an out of touch thing with the let them eat cake thing. I could totally agree that that's out of touch.
And she should catch flack for it.
I could totally agree that like people making fun of her is fine. But I just don't necessarily agree that this is endemic of some like broader thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like to me, it's celebrity is out of touch. Who'd have fucking thought?
Yeah,
Who'd have fucking
water's
thought?
wet and all
Oh
that
my
kind of stuff.
God.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, I don't really have any parasocial connections to any celebrity.
Yeah.
Like, I'll watch Hassan, but I don't connect with him on a personal level.
Exactly.
In a way that people might connect with, their favorite actor or favorite actress or whatever it is. I understand demanding that people that you watch and support, maybe monetarily, I understand demanding them to speak out about something. And I think that's fine. Use your influence for the greater good. I just don't understand why people are calling this blockout thing an actual movement, because movement towards what? Well, what's the goal here? Because I've seen people that get called out, like Brittany Broski, for example. I saw she was catching a lot of flack.
She was called out months ago.
Yeah, even though I think she's been speaking on it, but even if she hasn't, whatever. I saw that she's made posts on TikTok about Gaza more recently, and then people were still mad in the comments, saying oh, funny that you should speak out now only after we told you to. And it's like, well, what do you want?
That's what you asked for.
Isn't that shouldn't you be celebrating them once they finally come out and say something?
It's like if someone is like, oh, I don't really think I'm educated enough to speak on this issue, blah, 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 and does that cop out, and then pressure gets them, and they say, okay, guys, yeah, genocide is bad. I don't like this, and they use their platform for good. They're putting this in people's ears. That's what you wanted. In my mind, it's kind of along the same line of boycott discourse that I've been very frustrated with. And
this is far worse than boycott discourse.
I think so too, but I think there's a common theme here in that a lot of boycott discourse has been oh, we're boycotting X company, but that doesn't mean we're ever going to buy their products again.
Yeah.
And it's that's not a boycott.
Well,
dog.
And at least boycotts have a sort of historical precedent, right? When
They do,
when they're
yes.
very specific and they're very targeted, they can be effective. And of course, the whole boycott, divest, sanctions movement is something to stop Israel from doing bad shit.
No, I'm not coming out against boycotts.
Right, yeah.
I think boycotts are fine, but I think there's been a specific group of people talking about very specific boycotts in general that are separated from the broader movement. Some boycotts not even on the BDS list. Funny how that works. You know what I'm saying?
Well, boycotts of some companies that don't even operate in Israel.
Exactly.
It's just a waste of time.
And or just things that got misconstrued, and it's oh, we're never gonna go here again. Then it's not a boycott. I'm sorry, boycotts fundamentally don't work if you're not a part of the consumer base.
Yeah.
If you just decide to stop buying a product altogether forever, you're just not a part of their market anymore.
Yeah.
And they're gonna shift to appeal to different demographics. They're not going to try to appeal to a group of people who say they will never buy from you again. And you're neutering yourself. You're neutering your own effectiveness when you frame things like that. And I think in a way that's kind of similar to what's going on here. You know what I mean? But I don't know.
Not to mention that a lot of boycotts against multinational corporations just won't work because they're too big to fail, right?
Or they're too decentralized.
A contingent of the left boycotting them or threatening to boycott. It just I don't see how that could be effective when it's not in a very precise, direct way.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, people that sort of are leaning towards boycotting, although I think it's the sort of most liberal way of protesting something. At least there's an impulse to actually do something that they see as real.
Yes.
But with the blockout thing, it's just clicking a few buttons on social media. You're literally doing nothing.
And I don't know. Maybe we're insulated from this. Maybe I'm insulated from this because I've never really followed celebrities. So it's they're not showing up on my timeline anyway. If I block them, it's not doing anything. I was never following them anyway. I don't know, man. It just seems it's one of those things where it's what are we doing? Gigi Hadid and Bella Hadid are on some of the block lists.
Palestinians. Palestinian Americans.
What the fuck are we don't know what we're talking about.
No.
We're separated from the reality of this issue. Come on now.
Yeah, and the thing, again, show up to your representative's town hall that he's doing when it comes back to the district or something like that. That would be far more effective, even if it's a Republican that doesn't want to listen to you, because at least you'll be making a public showing of something.
You make a ruckus.
Yeah, exactly. Go and make an actual physical ruckus. Don't just talk online about doing a blockout. And my worry here is that, as we talked about before, people have a limited amount of attention they can devote to politics. It shouldn't be on something that is this big of a waste of time.
Yes.
There's only so much energy we can dedicate to politics because we got to focus on other stuff, got to put food on the table. Because there's a limited amount of energy that we can put towards politics, let's put it towards things that actually make a difference, like supporting the protests that are happening on college campuses, or organizing a protest yourself to go and yell at your politician when he comes home back to the district or something like that. Those are far more effective ways of organizing. Don't put in the comments that we just believe we shouldn't be able to do anything.
Yeah.
Because there are effective ways to showcase power. This is not one of them.
Yeah, I'm very much pro-protest. I'm very much pro-boycott, just for the right things and
when it's
in the
effective,
right way. There are effective and ineffective ways to go about any way of bringing change. Let's do the effective ones. You know what I'm saying? Let's not waste time and energy, and especially let's not give credence to other people to come through and say that, oh, this is stupid, you don't know what you're talking about, so this movement must be invalidated. Like that's where kind of that lands on it. You know what I mean? And it's infinitely more productive to go to even one protest or speak out maybe on your platform, no matter how small it is, than it is to, I don't know, like block Kim Kardashian. You know,
it's silly.
You know, like I don't know, or be mad at Haley Bailey because she was out of touch. Like I don't understand.
Yeah, Haley Bailey's not crafting policy, dog.
Exactly.
She's not voting for more weapons to Israel. It just
it's
doesn't.
Like she used an audio that was trying to get an out of touch way. I think it also stems from I think Met Gala discourse is so tiring every year. It comes about every year, and the peak that we got into it was when AOC went and she wore the dress because that was very much in our wheelhouse. It's very much like real politics there. Like that was something that I feel like meant something to grapple with. But other than that, the Met Gala is very opulent. Yes, it's like this. Maybe I'm jaded and sick of talking about these things, but I just feel like attention is so much better focused on the actual issue rather than that. I get that it can be a useful juxtaposition for people, and maybe it's radicalizing some people. But if the juxtaposition isn't radicalizing you to do things in the right manner, then it's not doing anything.
Yeah, it's kind of a waste of time.
Exactly.
Starting to understand how Lenin felt. I'm about to come out as a staunch vanguardist. No, we need a revolutionary party to push things forward. No more decentralization.
This is about to be an MLM podcast. I'm not talking Herbalife.
I'm strongly coming out against decentralization. Yeah. I should be the only one making decisions for the movement.
Because it's also motherfucker, we're doing Blackout Tuesday. Nobody go on Tuesday, fucking May 19th or May 21st or whatever. Nobody go buy anything at the grocery store. Nobody show up to work on this day. And if everyone in the world does it, we can cause this much damage. I don't know. It's your heart's in the right place for sure.
Yeah, I'm glad you want to do something.
I'm not going to say your heart's not in the right place. I'm not going to say you're on the wrong side of history. I'm just saying that your methods are ineffective.
Yeah.
I personally think, and it's been annoying.
Yeah, you're oriented in the right way morally. We just gotta learn how to actually do things.
And if it was just celebrities that have come out and been explicitly Zionist or come out and just flatly refuse to comment on the issue in very explicit ways, and not Hassan and Gigi and Bella Hadid, I'd be way more sympathetic to the cause. I would think the cause maybe it is worthwhile and worth talking about. But when we're just throwing anybody on there and we're continuing to put people on there who have spoken out about it or have done something about it in some public way, then I think it just becomes one big purity test rather than an actual statement to be made, rather than something that's carrying the movement forward.
Shit, maybe we can get on the list. I'd be honored.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'd be honored to get put on the list.
I would not be surprised if somebody said,
well, they told you to vote for
people. It's like those people who keep commenting on any video we post about Gaza, which we've been posting videos about Gaza for longer than most of the people who are doing this blockout list have known about the issue.
Yes.
We have not been covering this since October 7th. For all the hito heads out there that have listened to our catalog, I'm pretty sure within the first 10 episodes was when they bombed the AP building, right?
First 10 episodes of what?
Head in the Office.
Oh, you're talking back 2021?
Of our coverage.
I was going to say, at least in the first 20 episodes, we talked about Israel and how it's an apartheid state.
Because I'm pretty sure they blew up the AP building that was in Gaza or something like that. There was the Associated Press building was blown up. There were issues. The Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Yeah.
We covered that when that shit happened. We've been about it at
raids
least.
and refugee camps, yeah.
So that's part of why it's so annoying that every time we post a video about Gaza, we have for the last 3 fucking years, people are like, oh, but you're still telling us to vote for Joe Biden? I wouldn't be surprised if they want us on the block list. Oh my God, man.
Hey, bro, I've been on the anti-Zionist wave since they were in diapers.
That's what I'm saying.
What I'm saying? Political diapers. Since before you even knew what politics was. I've been talking about this shit, but
ridiculous.
Yeah. And, don't participate in that.
Speaking of people who are also really cool, like us, we have to give a special thanks to our wonderful patrons who support us and all the things we do. Beautiful,
glorious,
wonderful, glorious, virtuous people.
Yeah, I just updated the Patreon list yesterday. So if your name's not on here, let me know.
Damn.
Some names went off because some of y'all fucking left.
Some of y'all don't fuck with us anymore.
Some of y'all
put us on a block list.
Yeah.
Some of y'all put us on your personal block list, but
some of y'all
these
don't
really
fuck with
cool,
us.
virtuous people didn't do that. And I got to start by giving a special thanks to Caden Kraut, Lord Dow the Radiant, Chris the Postman, Christy Beck, Dylan B, Andrew Harris, Mike Chaplinsky, Mattias T, Omar Zuno, Clayton LaFed, Mark Yeager, Caleb Joy, Rich Toro, Tari, Gavin Mayer, Maldonado, Hunter W, Fergalaki, Max Vesquez, Jacob Rogers, Colton Mooberry, Fixer Punk, Jim Egbers, Jeff Muzzy, Bagel Burrito, Cincy Alex, Joe Stenstrom, Adrian Sandoval, Chloe Sam 601, Colleen Cutts, Veryuk, Jennifer DeVoe, Big Bird Titty, Crawfishin, Bennett Bennington III, Alexia Benanti, Nietzsche, Big Booty Beatdown, Sam Maloney, Two-Headed Boy, Ben Shapiro's Boyfriend, Jonathan Cassis, Luke O'Shea, Cucker Tarleson, Danielle Jackson, The Word of Microsoft, Jennifer Sines, Aaron and His Gundam Gundams, Darth Father, Tailored for Content, Corey Chambers, L.E.N., Devin Hatchard, Retro Mondo, Emma the Dude Slayer, Veronica aka V, Raxon, Ass Smith, The Grotler, Flower Clown, Beetlebugs, Murder in a Trench Coat, Lonnie Rogers, Slavic and Sapphic, Casey Lynn Kelly, Snake Eyes, and Hope of Giants, AK Gon, Aquana Don,
Zach Lantian, Info Russell, Austin Greif, Marcus Corbett, Caleb Roper, Taylor Rensock, Cammy, Tylen Freeman, Steak Daddy, Tay, Isaac Hodges, Madeline C, Pab the Pab 69, Kayla Lowe, Anna Volinik, Casey C, Sayesta West, August, Particular Pickman, Sir Capalot, Jeff Sines, Howard the Duck, Brennan is Egg, JR, Drew Batchilder, Froggy Gumdrop, Zen doing their best, Jackie Boy, Shameless, Coherent Babbles, Sasha, MJ is Sharp, Michaela Muncie, The Walls 3000, Jared Finch, Tactical Snowflake, Son of Ander, Vanilla Bryce, Chris T, Kishan Lala, Amanda R, Hanky Panky, Tyler J, Damian Blues, Ashley White, Dick Cheney and 3-inch Heels, Lalo Valesco, Particulon, Memfrez, Gorgeous Girl Mukes, Classified Jones, Lauren, Uncrasomatic Boar, Sasquatch, Rhonda Stiletto, Midwest Marxist, Joe the Mailman, Gary from West Michigan, Shawnee GG, Juniper Not Jupiter, Stacked Crabs, Patrick Simpson, I Crowley, and my mom. Thank you all so much for supporting the show on Patreon. Welcome to the new patrons that are getting the early episode for the first time.
Exactly. I hope we didn't scare you away. I hope we didn't scare you away.
Maybe we will.
And you know what? For all the patrons that have stayed this long, especially through the fucking Biden episode, the Biden take episode, I feel like this take shouldn't be that too out of line.
Yeah, exactly. And if it is, let us know.
Let us know. Maybe my opinion can be swayed. It's not an issue I care too much about. Like,
yeah, to be fair, this will be gone in like a month, maybe.
Exactly. It's just something that it's like kind of annoying right now.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to the show. We'll see you next week.
Have a great week.